Tulsa Captain's Crew, the LFA family, McGroy Nation, coming to you live from the deep red state of Tennessee, where I did very well. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. We did so well in the great state of Tennessee. The home of Firebrand, Congressman Andy Ogles, who's going to be joining Jeremy Harrell next hour. Which is cool. Having Congressman Ogles on. We're going to have a great time here on Ungoverned this morning. We'll be doing your calls second half of the show. We're going to talk about the the demand, which appears to be it's being heard for DOGE cuts. All the work that Elon Musk did, the 130 days of his time as a special government employee. And how that is going to be implemented, because you know what, I'm going to put out both sides of the equation here, just to be fair, right? Just to be fair. I know there was, and I talked about it, and I'm not happy about the stances that several senators have taken, and this may be giving them too much of the benefit of the doubt, which is, It's not what I want to do, but it is of course what I think is fair to do. We had that list of senators, very large list of Republican senators who opposed the DOGE cuts, which are it was a massive number of Republican senators that opposed the DOGE cuts, and I'm not sure if they opposed them because they don't want to cut the funding, or do they oppose the way the DOGE cuts were being talked about as standalone legislation because it would require 60 votes in the Senate to pass, whereas using this method of rescissions, which we're going to go through and talk about and explain, does not require 60 votes in the Senate. So is that why there was a large number of Republican senators who opposed the DOGE cuts? Is it a mixture of both? I don't know. But we will talk about it because Donald Trump is expected to send his first rescissions package of proposed DOGE cuts to the House of Representatives, to Congress, right? The lower chamber of Congress, as soon as next Monday. Because, of course, right? Of course, Congress is off this week. It's been an 11-day break again for Congress, and they will get into possible DOGE cuts next week. So we have that. We'll be doing your calls second half of the show at 631-527-4545. Yesterday, we talked about how the judicial coup was continuing to rage on, right? The judicial coup raging on. And an international trade court, U.S. International Trade Court, tried to block Donald Trump's tariffs. Well, that was already overturned on appeal. It was reinstated. Donald Trump's tariffs were reinstated by an appeals court yesterday, so we have that. The Democratic Socialists of America, that's a radical, left-wing, crazy, unhinged group. Apparently, they love Luigi Mangione, these leftists. Obviously, the It's the Jews crowd. Oh, they're not happy with me this morning. Because I made a post last night or yesterday that said, the woke left believes that white people are the problem. The woke right believes that the Jews are the problem. And the rest of us believe that government is a problem. And people are like, there's no such thing as a woke right. You, by being offended by what I said, woke right. But the Democratic Socialists of America are celebrating and praising the deranged Free Palestine lunatic that murdered Israeli diplomats in the streets of New York City, Washington, D.C., outside of the Jewish Museum. Yeah, they're praising him. And, of course, there are cheerleaders on our side of the aisle who believe that, the Free Palestine people have a point. No, they don't. And we also have a pretty good catch from the FBI. The FBI made an arrest, or they caught an intel official who was selling classified information to our adversaries because they had Trump derangement syndrome. So not too good. We will talk about all of those things and more. We'll get to your calls again in the second half of the show. We'll get into rescissions in just a minute, because that may be the best way to pass the DOGE cuts, right? What would you rather have tactically? You take the path of least resistance, right? Work smarter, not harder in some cases. Congress doesn't know how to work hard. They also many of them don't know how to work smart. But save for a few, maybe Andy Ogles, Eli Crane, Tim Burchett. Some of these guys are smart workers and hard workers, but I would rather go down the path of least resistance. I would rather go down the path of least resistance here when it comes to DOGE cuts, and rather have to clear lower thresholds when it comes to the amount of votes needed to pass DOGE cuts and to make those cuts permanent, instead of just treating them like suggestions. I think we're going to see a lot of that today in the press conference that Donald Trump and Elon Musk are set to hold together at 1:30 Eastern Time, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The press conference between Trump and Musk, I believe, is going to have to do a lot with how they're going to proceed going forward. Elon apparently staying on as an advisor, but not as a quote-unquote special government employee or as the head of DOGE. So we have all that. We're going to get to all that and more. Before we do that, I want to get to word from our friends at OFP Farms. You know, the great job that they did with their Mother's Day gift sets. Take a look at this. Right? What's about? What happened? Oh, okay. Because Brennan just made a big face. Mother's Day gift sets. This was OFP Farms right there. OFPfarms.com. Their Mother's Day gift box is it was unbelievable. And so now it is Father's Day time. They've got Father's Day gift boxes, folks. Big news coming right off the farm. OFP Farms is dishing out a barn load of gift sets to make your dad, your papa, your husband, your son, your best uncle, or that special father figure in your life feel like a king this Father's Day. Choose from the fabulous lineup of beard and bath sets, soap boxes, wellness bundles, and a whole lot more. Nothing says Happy Father's Day than getting your dad this beautiful bar of the Outlaw soap. The Outlaw soap. It'll leave you smelling like a felon. Smelling like a felon. Ladies and gentlemen, round up your orders today. Time is ticking to get these goodies shipped out to your father. And while, listen, we all loved the Pony Express back in the day, now we have to trust the good old USPS to deliver the goods. So get in while the getting's good. You can lasso a 20% discount on your entire order with your code Sean, SHAWN, SHAWN, SHAWN at OFPfarms.com. 20% off on this Father's Day promotion. That is OFPfarms.com, promo code Sean. Take a look right there on your screen. OFPfarms.com, promo code SHAWN. OFPfarms.com, promo code Sean. OFPfarms.com, promo code SHAWN. All right, what happened over there? You made a big... What is it? Okay. Slam is the one who never has good things to say, obviously alluding to somebody who we may have to sue on Facebook last night for saying that I was a criminal. Interesting. Yeah, apparently this Lena, who was it on Facebook that... Yeah, probably. Lena, something or other, some Karen from Southampton was running her mouth on Facebook last night, which is, it's just hilarious, saying that I have a criminal record, which is news to me. News to me. All right, but hey, if you want to believe your ideological enemies instead of people who, have a pretty darn good track record, that is on you. We'll be taking your calls, 631-527-4545, second half of the show. Before we obviously get into that, I want to get into... What's that? I'm laughing at that person trying to screw with you. Yeah, okay. Laughing at the person. Good. Keep that's good. I think that maybe was a sarcastic remark then. Yeah, good. All right. Well, I'm just making sure it was a sarcastic remark because I obviously we don't trust we don't trust a word of this. That woman on Facebook yesterday was like, you have an FBI file. I was like, okay, publish it. And she's like, well, you have one. And I was like, okay, publish it. And then I threatened to take her house in Southampton. So, because she's a Southampton liberal Karen. It's where a lot of liberals live. Anyway, DOGE cuts. Let's get to the point. Enough of the trolls and the silly people. Slam, if your comment was in jest, which I would like to believe it was, fine, no worries. Maybe make it a little more obvious. Because you almost got reprimanded. But DOGE cuts, ladies and gentlemen, DOGE cuts, DOGE cuts, DOGE cuts. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, right here. The first of many potential DOGE cut packages may be heading to the White House as soon as, not to the White House. I am so sorry. May be heading to Congress from the White House as soon as Monday. This package would include $1.1 billion in cuts to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which funds NPR and PBS, and $8.3 billion in reductions in funding for foreign aid agencies such as USAID. Now, I want to be very clear. $9.4 billion is not the $2 trillion that we were told was going to be cut as a result of DOGE. That's point number one. Point number two is I don't believe this is going to be the only rescissions package that gets sent to Congress throughout Donald Trump's term. White House Office of Budget Management Director Russ Vought said on Wednesday that the Department of Government Efficiency's first rescission bill will be heading to Congress as soon as Monday. Vought said that the bill will be sent over on Monday or Tuesday whenever the House is back in session, and they will get our first rescissions bill. Now, many people have never heard of rescissions before. I started looking at it and saying, all right, well, how is this different from other pieces of legislation that make their way through the House and the Senate? Now, again, I'm going to, for the sake of being fair, and maybe I'm being too fair, and maybe you don't agree with me being this fair, but for the sake of fairness, just in and of itself, maybe, right? Maybe the Republican senators in the Senate that came out and quote unquote opposed DOGE cuts, maybe those people didn't actually oppose the cuts. Maybe they opposed the way the cuts were being proposed because the way those cuts were being proposed would never pass the Senate. In other words, if the House decided to draft a bill, right, legislation, to codify or pass into law the spending cuts proposed by DOGE because of the uncovering of the waste and the fraud and the abuse, a bill of that nature would likely need to attain 60 votes to be passed in the Senate. You need a simple majority in the House, 60 votes in the Senate, and then it gets signed into law by the president. Rescissions work a little differently. Let me explain to you just real quick on how exactly these rescissions packages actually work when it comes to how they're going to be proposing these DOGE cuts. Rescissions are not the same thing, obviously, as part of the reconciliation bill, and it can address discretionary spending. Trump is going to start with $9.4 billion in cuts, $1.1 billion from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, $8.3 billion from USAID. Here's how it works. Rescissions packages must be acted on by Congress within 45 days of them being submitted or the package fails. Okay. Who submits rescissions packages? The White House does. Okay. So the President of the United States submits a rescission request to Congress detailing the specific funds that he wants to be canceled. Congress has 45 legislative days. Important, not just 45 days, 45 legislative days to act on the proposal. During that 45-day period, the specified funds that are outlined in the package are withheld from obligations. So That $1.1 billion that goes to the Corporation of Public Broadcasting, that $8.3 billion of USAID and United States foreign aid funding is frozen during that 45-day period at that point in time. Both the House and the Senate must pass a rescission bill approving the proposed cuts. If approved, the funds are permanently canceled. If not approved within the 45-day window, the withheld funds must be released and spent as originally appropriated. Okay? So it is important to understand the President of the United States, Donald Trump, he outlines to Congress in a rescissions proposal what he wants cut. So this specific example is $9.4 billion, 1.1 from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, 8.3 from USAID and other foreign aid agencies. Congress is going to receive this rescissions package, right, this proposal, and on the day they receive it, they get 45 legislative days to consider whether or not to pass a bill that would permanently cut or permanently stop the spending that has been highlighted by Donald Trump, okay? Congress can make modifications to these proposals, all right? They can make modifications to the proposals. And there are a couple of very interesting rules surrounding rescission. To finalize the rescission, the House and Senate must pass a rescission bill, usually called a rescission package. The bill must explicitly approve the proposed cancellations or modify the proposed cancellations. There is no allowance of a filibuster in the Senate. Debate is limited to 10 hours only. And this is the most important point of these rescissions packages and the biggest strategic reason as to why this should be the path forward for DOGE. It only requires a simple majority to pass in the Senate, not 60 votes. Okay? And that is where we talk about strategy, and that is where we talk about tactics. I think we all know for a fact that there is not a single Democrat in the Senate that would vote in favor of any cuts outlined by DOGE and the work that Elon Musk did. It just won't happen, right? Can we agree on that? No Democrat is going to vote in favor of a standalone bill that codifies DOGE cuts that needs 60 votes to pass the Senate. Not a single Democrat would vote for it, right? We understand that? I think we could agree on that. So the best way forward now is to not draft that legislation in the House, to have Donald Trump send a rescissions bill or a rescissions proposal to Congress and have them pass it through both chambers by a simple majority. Okay? So 5 steps essentially. President proposes the rescission. That triggers the 45-day legislative day clock. It goes to the appropriations committees in both the House and the Senate. Congress has to pass a bill requiring a majority in both chambers. The Senate cannot filibuster. The debate is capped at 10 hours. No action on the bill means the rescission fails. Funds must be released. Now, rescissions are rarely successful unless the president's party controls both chambers. In this case, the president's party does control both chambers. Congress often rejects full proposals, but will in many cases pass scaled back versions of these rescissions proposals. Now, I don't want a scaled back version of these rescissions proposals. I don't want a scaled back version of it, right? I want the DOGE cuts to be made in their entirety. However, we also need to maintain realistic expectations, right? Now, let me ask you this. What would you rather have? A majority of, if not all. Let's say 100% of DOGE cuts, we have to, for the sake of the argument, and I want to get the live chat's opinion on this. For the sake of the argument, let's say that 100% of of the cuts proposed by the Department of Government Efficiency, let's say that 100% of those cuts off the table. Off the table. So would you rather get some, most, as close to all as possible? Or would you rather get nothing because you know it's not going to pass through the Senate? I'd rather get some, most, as close to all as possible than get nothing. Right? Then get nothing. So the benefit of using rescissions here is that you don't need to rely on Democrats. You can stay within your own caucus. As Caps Lock is saying, some is better than none. Some is better than none. Right? I want all of them, but let's say I just said for the sake of the argument, all is off the table. We can't then add all back on the table when we're saying for the sake of the argument, all is off the table. All is off the table for the sake of the argument. Maybe it's not actually off the table, but I'm saying if all is off the table, would you rather have some or none? Right? That's the question I'm asking. Those are the parameters that are being set. Most are close. Most are close. I would rather take a couple steps forward and one step back than take no steps forward and 2 steps back, right? So I would rather pass as many DOGE cuts through rescissions as possible. Now, there is no limit. There is no limit. None. When it comes to the number of rescissions packages that a president can send. Rescissions were made legal. They became a mechanism under the Impoundment Control Act of 1974. There is no legal limit to how many rescission packages a president can send to Congress under that act. The president may submit multiple rescission proposals, either individually, one proposal per issue, or grouped together, which would be a package of multiple proposed rescissions. Congress obviously has to act on each proposal or package within 45 days, legislative days of receipt. The 45-day clock starts fresh with each new submission. Now, this only applies to funds that are not yet legally committed or spent, right? Congress is not obligated to approve any rescission. They can reject it or pass a modified version. And the president's power is propositional, not unilateral. Congress eventually makes the final decision here. But we could be looking at here the first of many cuts coming on Monday. And I don't want anybody to believe or think that $9.4 billion is going to be where the DOGE cut stops. This is the first of many, what will likely be, or hopefully be, and I think likely be, many rescissions proposals that Donald Trump is going to send to Congress. It doesn't mean they're going to pass all of them. But this is the best way forward. Okay? This is the best way forward. Now, to those Republican senators that opposed a DOGE cut bill, this is totally different. If those Republicans now go on record and oppose all of this, it's going to be a disaster in the midterms. I'm just going to say it. It's going to be a disaster in the midterms. Russ Vaught said yesterday, we want to make sure that Congress passes its first rescissions bill, including the DOGE, and we will send more if they pass it, Vaught added. He said that the first bill will be in regards to cuts in foreign aid, USAID, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and NPR, and other waste and garbage that was being funded, which was not only wasteful, but hurting our foreign policy. It's just a simple majority in the House and Senate, which is what's needed to pass the bill. And the virtue of this is that it's a process that also evades the Senate filibuster, as we just told you. So it needs to pass, and we're being very careful that we do not use our procedural opportunities and in going down a path that won't lead to passage. This is the best way forward. And if this was the plan all along, then this is a good plan. Now we need the House and Senate to actually act on it. It's going to be an important moment for us, so we're going to be keeping track of who supports these packages and who doesn't support these packages. But again, these are not packages that we should be blackpilling on when it comes to the Senate saying we're never going to get 60 votes. We don't need 60 votes. All we need is a simple majority in the Senate. There's no filibuster. Debate's limited to 10 hours. Once it goes through the House and Senate, those funds, it's over. It's over. All right. Next up, Federal Appeals Court reinstating Donald Trump's tariffs. Okay. The tariffs are back. It's America First Trade. This whole thing yesterday with the International Trade Court, or whoever this court was, it's a New York City court, so of course you know how they feel. Federal Appeals Court on yesterday, temporarily reinstated Trump's tariffs after the Court of International Trade in New York said Trump exceeded his authority to impose tariffs under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977. The Trump administration immediately appealed the federal court's permanent injunction on Wednesday evening. One judge did not participate. The request for an immediate administrative stay is granted to the extent that the judgments and the permanent injunctions entered by the Court of International Trade in these cases are temporarily stayed until further notice while this court considers the motion's papers. In other words, the tariffs are back in place to see what if they're for the long run, if they could stay back in place. But they're back in place right now. According to CNN, federal court's Wednesday injunction halted Trump's 30% tariffs on China, his 25% tariffs on some goods imported from Mexico and Canada, and the 10% universal tariffs on most goods coming into the United States. It does not, however, affect the 25% tariffs on autos, auto parts, steel or aluminum, which were subject to Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act, a different law than the one Trump cited for his broader trade actions. The biggest problem that I had with the International Trade Court blocking the tariffs that Donald Trump imposed on Canada and Mexico, for an example, is that those tariffs that were imposed on Canada and Mexico were imposed on them to pressure them to better secure their end of the border to keep fentanyl from coming into this country. And that's the problem. Fentanyl is incredibly deadly. It is killing people. It doesn't take a lot to kill anybody. Just ask George Floyd. Fentanyl is incredibly dangerous. And it's an incredibly lucrative business to be in. Just ask communist China. We need to stop the flow of fentanyl into the country. And Donald Trump made headway with countries like Canada and Mexico, who before he started implementing tariffs on them, were not securing their end of the border and were allowing drugs to hit the border between our countries and allowing them into the United States. Donald Trump used tariffs to make them get tougher on their side of the border, and it started to work. This court decided, it doesn't matter that the fentanyl is going to make its way into the United States and kill American citizens and kill American children. We're an international trade court in New York. We have Trump derangement syndrome, and we're just going to rule against it. Well, thankfully, this appeals court decided they were going to overturn that because that was ridiculous and made America a less safe country. Thankfully, that has been overturned. All right, I want to take a quick break. We'll get to the Democratic Socialists of America in just a second. Before we do that, I want to talk to you about the LFA TV store. It's LFATV.us, 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 Lima Foxtrot Alpha Tango Victor Uniform Sierra. It's the LFA TV store. Father's Day, right around the corner. There's no better place to shop for Father's Day gift ideas than our first sponsor, OFP Farms, and, of course, the LFA TV store as well. Take a look at this. One of my favorite ideas is to go ahead and get this mug, the mugs that Barb Naylor herself made with the 4 pictures on them. Go ahead, look at this. Look, there's a spring cleaning sale, by the way. Wow. Look at that, 20% off at the LFA TV store. So not only is this a great idea for Father's Day, but you're getting 20% off at the LFA TV store right now. 20% off when you go to the LFA TV store. Look at that. You can grab the mugs, you can grab the Rise Up coffee, and you can do so at a 20% discount. How about it? Nothing says Happy Father's Day for your dad or father figure in your life than getting him some amazing, bold Rise Up coffee and letting him sip it out of this amazing mug that you see here at the LFA TV store. Check it out at LFATV.us. Take advantage of the 20% off sale right now. LFATV.us, LFATV.us, LFATV.us. Okay. The Democrat Socialists of America are celebrating the assassination of the Israeli diplomats outside of the Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C. That is how sick these people are. These are the same people who celebrated Luigi Mangione. These are the same people who celebrated the protests and riots and illegal encampments on college campuses. These are the same people that are the radical left-wing lunatics in the Democrat Party. The DSA, they have what's called a Liberation Caucus, praises the assassination of the Israeli diplomats in Washington, D.C. at the hands of this shooter. We're not going to use his name because that is what he wants. The DSA has advocated for the D.C. shooter, the Free Palestine agitator, who's the suspect in the shooting of 2 Israeli embassy employees in Washington, D.C. The Liberation Caucus referred to the shooter as a, quote, political prisoner. A political prisoner. Guy says he did it for Palestine. He's a political prisoner. He mowed down innocent people in the streets of Washington, D.C. But he's a political prisoner. This is not a political prisoner. This is a psychopath. This is somebody that needs to have a quick trial. This is somebody that needs to go away for the rest of their life. This is somebody that took away a beautiful couple, set to be married, engaged to be married, took them away. Messianic Jews. I believe one was a Christian. The other one was an ethnic Jew, but believed that Jesus was the Messiah, so a Messianic Jew. Innocent people. Sarah Milgram, he apparently shot her repeatedly as she tried to crawl away, going as far as to reload just to keep shooting her. He's also charged with the murder of Yaron Lashinsky, Milgram's soon-to-be fiancée, who was gunned down outside the Jewish Museum at Milgram's side. Yaron Lashinsky was apparently getting ready to propose to Sarah Milgram in Jerusalem. Didn't get the chance to do that because, well, this maniac decided their lives didn't matter. Story we were going to cover earlier, and I think we did briefly cover it earlier in the week, which tracks, it's on par for the woke left, like the Democrat Socialists of America. It's that the D.C. shooter called for the genocide of white people in leaked text messages. Remember, what is the woke left's main marching orders? The woke left's main marching orders are that white people are the problem, right? White people are the problem. That's the rule. In leaked text messages, this shooter out there in Washington, D.C., who the Democratic Socialists of America are actively praising right now and are defending as some sort of political prisoner, this guy wanted to wipe out white people. That is totally on par for the woke left. They think white people are the problems. The woke right think Jews are the problems. The rest of us think government is the problem. Be like the rest of us. Witness testimony and additional messages demonstrated that the shooter held an animosity towards Israel and supported Hamas, the Palestinian terrorist organization. The communications provide a more comprehensive understanding of the alleged cold-blooded killer's political ideologies and long-standing convictions. According to the report, the shooter wrote, quote, LOL, you probably would have to actually genocide white people to make this a normal country. Like even a very targeted and selective rehabilitation program would probably have to lead to the lifetime imprisonments of tens of millions of white people, according to this D.C. shooter. Further allegations made by his friends suggest that while Rodriguez had allegedly never expressed disdain towards Jewish people, he had a severe hatred of Israel. Quote, he never, ever said anything remotely racist about Jews or anyone. A friend added that the shooter was, quote, a big proponent of the emerging resistance axis of Russia, Iran, Hezbollah, Assad, Syria. The accused also referred to Israel as, quote, the little Satan, and, quote, seemed pretty vocally in favor of Hamas for years, way before 2023, according to his friends. Following the deaths of two Hamas leaders, Hassan Nasrallah and Yahya Sinwar, who were killed by the Israeli Defense Forces during Israel's war against Hamas, the shooter wrote a message, quote, honestly, I'm still just feeling sad about the murder of Hassan Nasrallah. It hurts when people are killed, specifically for doing what is right, when so many are afraid to. This person is a terrorist. This person is a terrorist. You believe that? And you have the left and some, not all, but some on the quote-unquote woke right who don't seem to have a problem with this person. Now, one problem that I have with some of the folks who are condemning this shooter. Some are condemning this shooter because of the optics. Well, it doesn't look good when you kill people in the name of free Palestine. What the hell do you think the goal of the global intifada is? To sing Ring Around the Rosie? It doesn't look good to kill people in the name of free Palestine? That's what free Palestine's about. From the river to the sea. Now, some people, and I don't like giving credit to this person. However, I saw, and I don't agree with all the comments that this guy made about this issue. But I do agree with what he said when he said it. Myron Gaines, it's not his real name. You know, I give him crap all the time. But, and he kind of teetered on the, it's bad optics, but he didn't really harp on, I watched his commentary about it because I wanted to see what he said. And he made a point. And it was more than just that, you know, baseline, cheap cop-out, it's bad optics. He made a point, a good point, calling out his own people who are celebrating this shooting. And I'm going to give credit where it's due, right? He made a point. And he said, well, you don't like it when Israel kills innocent people, so we shouldn't like it when a free Palestine guy kills innocent people. I agree with that. Now, he framed it, a lot of it, as bad optics, and it's more than just bad optics, but that is a valid point. Where are the people who are constantly criticizing Israel, saying, oh, they're killing innocent civilians, they're killing women, they're killing children, and by the way, using Hamas's numbers to justify that talking point? Where are the people who say Israel is bad for doing that after this D.C. shooting? Is there no criticism of this shooter who took two innocent people away from us and away from the world and ended their lives way too soon? So I give credit where it's due to a guy like Myron Gaines for saying that and pointing out that there is hypocrisy there. And that's as far as I'm going with him, because I still think he's on the way wrong side of the entire thing. But again, I'm trying to be fair. It's unbelievable. And you can't let the Democrats off the hook for this fringe element of their party. And that is why it's very important for us to clean up the fringe people on our side of the aisle. And I'm not talking about it because of Israel. I'm talking about because these people are actively supporting the death to America people while claiming to be America first. You can't do that. It doesn't work that way. All right, finally. This was a big story. It's not the arrest that everybody wants. I get it. But can we all agree that something like this is pretty important? I think we should all be able to agree on that, right? The FBI busted an intel official for selling top secret information to foreign countries because the guy had Trump derangement syndrome. Nathan Vilas Losh, a 28-year-old IT specialist with top secret clearance for his role at the Defense Intelligence Agency, the DIA, has been arrested for attempting to turn over classified military intelligence to a foreign nation. The reason he was willing to commit such an alleged crime is pure Trump derangement syndrome. He finds the current administration to be, quote, extremely disturbing. So he sold all of us out because Trump hurt his feelings. Unbelievable. This is clear-cut treason. According to court documents, Losh sent an email to whom he believed to be a foreign official, but was in fact an undercover FBI agent. It's funny because I was told by detractors that the FBI isn't doing anything. This seems to be pretty important. The recent actions of the current administration are extremely disturbing to me, he said. I do not agree or align with the values of this administration and intend to act to support the values that the United States at one time stood for. Prompted by that disagreement, Losh on 2 occasions transcribed classified material into a notebook, transferred the information to a document on a thumb drive, and then dropped the drive at a location presumably to be retrieved by the foreign government. They were instead intercepted by the FBI. On the first attempt, the drop-off included information that was portion marked up to the secret or top secret levels. Shockingly, it alludes to the IT specialist's access to a decent range of types of products, whether those products were weapons or otherwise is not specified in the filing. On the second attempt, Losh was arrested. So this guy had Trump derangement syndrome. He probably got his fancies tickled when Brian Krasenstein made posts about Donald Trump on X and, just decided to betray his country over it. Now, I was told, folks, I was told that grandma who walked inside the Capitol, stayed inside the velvet ropes, said a prayer, and then left, was a traitor for her involvement in the insurrection on January 6th. And I was told that by all of these prominent left-wing figures on the fake news and fake print media and the people on X and the people on Facebook and the people on Instagram and the people on TikTok and all these rabid left-wing Trump deranged sycophants out there. They told me grandma is a traitor for praying inside the Capitol on January 6th. My question to those wonderful people is, where are you now in this case? Because this guy is as Trump deranged as you are and betrayed his country because little Donald Trump hurt his feelings. This is how bad Trump derangement syndrome has become. This is what we have to deal with. People now betraying our country and selling us out because he doesn't like Donald Trump. Thank you to the FBI for catching this guy and not allowing him to distribute classified information and military secrets to a foreign nation. All right, let's get to a word from our friends at Armor Colostrum, and then we will get to your calls. TryArmor.com/LFA TV, TRYARMRA.com/LFA TV. I am going to put the number to call right here on your screen, putting it up. That's TRYARMRA.com/LFA TV. Number to call is 631-527-4545. This is Armor Colostrum. Colostrum is the finest and first nutrition we receive in life. We get it when we're babies, and then we never get it again. Until now. Because this is one of the best ways to strengthen your immunity, one of the best ways to improve your gut health, one of the best ways to improve your fitness and metabolism. And you can get your daily dose of colostrum by going to tryarmor.com/LFA TV. Colostrum has been shown to reactivate hair growth and help your skin glow. It can help fortify your gut health and ignite your metabolism. It can help fuel your fitness, performance, and recovery. You can harness the close-guarded secret of elite athletes, long prized for its unrivaled ability to take performance to its apex. Colostrum has been shown in research to help enhance nutrient absorption, promote lean muscle building, and improve endurance while fueling cellular repair regeneration for faster recovery. Specifically, Colostrum has been shown to improve fitness endurance by 20%, decrease recovery time by over 50% after intense exercise, improve stamina, and specifically build lean muscle mass. Check it out at tryarmor.com/LFATV, tryarmor.com/LFATV for 15% off of your first order. That's tryarmor.com/LFATV, tryarmor.com/LFATV. Heard from our friend Dylan Filion over in Iowa. And he says Armor Colostrum is awesome. And that guy plays hockey. Now, if it works for a hockey player, it'll work for all of you guys, too. All right, we'll start up with your calls. We got one connecting right now. You will all know who this person is. It is our all-star, rock star, most reliable caller ever, Heather in Kansas City. What's up, Heather?
Thank you. Oh, not much. I wanted to share. We've been assembling Bibles at church this week, and our goal is 100,000. We're at 67,000 right now.
That's close.
Yes, and it's been very cool. We've had missionaries and pastors there, and one of the pastor's sons that was there, I had to tell you, did a Trump impersonation. It's a beautiful operation. You know, I was like, he's doing Trump. Like, that was so funny.
So did somebody was doing a Trump impersonation? Do I need to show up in Kansas City? It's like, excuse me, we need to leave it to the pros. Yes. Okay, leave it to the pros.
And so I thought of you and guys last night when he did that. I was like, that is so funny. I have to share that because I'm like,
that's amazing.
Better. But anyway, I just thought it was something because we do have some Democrats in our go to a smaller church, but we have a few that are Democrats, and I'm like, oh boy.
Oh boy, gotta be careful.
I know. But yeah, so we're doing that. We had a guy from India there last night, and his wife had her first time in the United States. She'd never been here before.
Very cool.
So that was kind of fun. But anyway, everything's good. Brendan is my security guard for work now, so she's got another job to do. So
Brennan is now Heather's security guard at work.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So,
very good.
Anyway, well, I just wanted to call real quick and say hello, and hope I'm always listening. I may not chat because our calls are crazy, but I just wanted to call to say hello.
All right. Well, good to hear from you, Heather. Thank you so much. And, stay away from Taylor Swift.
I'll try. Thank you.
Thanks, Heather. Heather from Kansas City. She's great. We love Heather from Kansas City. All right. Keep them coming. 631-527-4545, 631-527-4545. I do see a bunch of calls that are trying to come in, but that notification has not lit up the screen yet. Here we go. Oh, look at this. Look at this. I think I know what's about to happen here. Aha. That's all right. Wait a minute. You know what? We are on with, I don't know who it is, and I don't know if you want to say who it is, but I'll take a guess if I hear your voice. Go ahead.
This is Slam.
This is Slam. What's up, Slam?
Hey, what's going on?
You tell me.
Not much. I'm just calling in to tell you that I love your guys' show, and
cool.
I have nothing bad to say about you guys.
Awesome. No, I think we misinterpreted the comment earlier because of that lunatic on Facebook. So we got that clear. But go ahead. What's on your mind?
I'm just calling to what I always talk about in the chat and to say that I am extremely worried about things not going our way for the midterms.
As am I, by the way.
And the biggest reason why is because I'm worried that we're going to lose a lot of the fence voters.
Okay.
The people
why do you think that? Why
brought,
do you think that is? Because I don't disagree with you on that. Why do you think we're going to lose fence voters?
I'm just worried that people that like RFK brought over, Tulsi brought over, they were on the fence already, and they only came over because they joined Trump.
Yep.
So that scares me that they're going to end up leaving, because they weren't already on board with everything that Trump wanted to do.
But Tulsi and RFK are with Trump, and they're both excelling in their roles. So you don't think that'll keep them there? You don't think there's a chance that'll keep them there? I think they'll stay. I think those people will stay. Yeah.
It's going to keep some, but I'm just worried that, things aren't happening in a speed that people want, and I myself.
Okay.
I'm not, I'm just worried that if people aren't going to go and vote for the Dems, I'm just worried people aren't going to show up to vote.
Well, I think we do have a turnout problem when Trump is not on the ballot. And this is why the messaging that trying to run with here is that Trump is on the ballot in the 2026 midterms. His final 2 years are on the ballot, right? Because if not, what happens when the Democrats take the House? Impeachment, right? Now, we know Democrats are going to come out, and we also know that it doesn't also mean that they're going to come out, but they're going to harvest ballots, and they're going to do the fraud thing, and we know how they operate, right? But I don't know. I think the Maha moms, the folks who came over with Tulsi, I think those people, because RFK has been unleashed. He's doing the stuff with the red dye. The COVID vaccine has been taken off of the approved schedule for childhood vaccinations, right? So these are all things that a lot of these Maha moms and the Make America Healthy Again people and supporters and RFK supporters, they love that type of stuff. So I think they're going to stick. I think the Tulsi people are going to stick. What I'm worried about is it's not those folks who came over in the 2024 election. I'm worried about people on our side who are Trump or bust, right? Where he's not on the ballot, I'm staying home. He is on the ballot. And that's what I'm not necessarily worried about. Well, so-and-so wasn't arrested by the FBI yet, and that's going to cost us in the midterms. It's an issue. Don't get me wrong. I want to see it too, right? I don't think that's as big of a midterm issue as much as understanding if we give the Democrats the House, Trump's term ends 2 years early.
Exactly. And I completely agree with that.
Cool.
I'm just worried that, if we can't hold and keep the base fired up over the next, year and a half, and I feel like that's slipping, keeping the base fired, with obviously everything that Bongino's coming out and Cash is coming out and Bondi's not doing anything and
right.
Congress ain't doing anything. I'm just worried that the fire's starting to go out.
I think the biggest problem is Congress, because those are ultimately the ones that are on the ballot. I don't think Bongino and Patel necessarily will have as big an impact on the midterms. And you may agree, you may disagree. I think the biggest problem is the inaction of Congress, and people are blackpilling on the system and the fact that our Congress just isn't working hard. That is why I think these rescissions cuts and these rescissions packages that are going to be proposed by Donald Trump, those things need to pass because DOGE was popular, rooting out weight fraud and abuse was popular. And deportations are still massively popular. So if we can just focus on those things from the political, operation, I think we'll be in good position for the midterms. If you sprinkle in maybe an arrest of a James Comey or the Epstein video and stuff like that coming out, that may fire up the base a little more. But I think they want real tangible results that impact them at home, and that is what the DOGE cuts and the big, beautiful bill and stuff that Congress can do more so than the FBI or anything else.
I agree.
All right. Well, very good, Slam. Thank you for the call. We appreciate it. And feel free to give us a call back anytime.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right. You got it. That was Slam in the chat. Worried about the midterms? I'm worried about the midterms too. And I've been talking about it since the day after we won the 2024 election. I said we gotta make sure we don't let that feeling go. Too big to rig needs to be our needs to be our method going forward. Needs to be our slogan going forward. All right, 631-527-4545. I do see somebody in the chat asking, is Donald Trump having a rally in Pennsylvania today? Yes, at Pittsburgh. At the U.S. Steel, I believe, is where he's going to be. 631-527-4545. I see people trying to call, but again, the notification is not popping up. So if the notification pops up, then I'll be able to accept it. Andy Ogle's coming up next with Jeremy Harrell. Here we go. We have a call coming in. We're going to connect to it. Jeremy Harrell is going to have Andy Ogles on next. Obviously, the Nashville mayor, Freddie O'Connell, is in deep, deep doo-doo. We do have our call connected. Who do we have on the line here?
This is Jason King, Bond Army Staff Sergeant. Hey,
there
buddy.
He is. What's up, Jason? How are you?
Oh, I'm just having a great time. Been a great week. You was up late last night showing some receipts I saw.
Oh,
they got to me. I got to just say this. I mean, obviously he's lying. Why didn't they left him a file after 8 years of corruption with evidence of Hillary or somebody killing this guy,
of
or
course,
Crook's CIA badge. And he's just covering for him, right? Is this really their argument?
That's
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, Jason, because Dan Bongino didn't come out on television and say Hillary Clinton walked into the jail cell and shot Jeffrey Epstein in the back of the head. He's obviously covering for the deep state, you know?
They're going to leave that file there for Dan and Cash, of all people, of course.
Right, yeah, that's what they're going to do. Look, again, I think it's important yesterday, the Fox and Friends interview, that he kept citing the evidence file, the evidence file, the evidence file. I also noticed that Dan's being a little more vocal on his personal X profile.
All that.
I think something may be in the works. I don't know. I'm not talking to him. I'm not asking questions. I think maybe there's maybe something big coming. I don't know. It's just speculation, but I hope so.
Me neither. But there was that cryptic flag with the fire after it yesterday. I'm kind of really excited to see where that goes. But hey, brother, appreciate you. You was out there helping carry the boats late last night with Oak Glen Pawpaw. That was hilarious, bringing the receipt.
That one was a maniac. Yeah, we lied about being swatted. And I was like, oh, really? Here's a video. Here's a picture of us getting patted down.
Hey, man, I'll let you get another caller. Thanks, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Jason. Jason King, Bongino Army Staff Sergeant. Between him and obviously Speak on X, these guys, they're tearing up these maniacs. And it's just one after another. Tearing them up. It has been nonstop. It's like they're getting bludgeoned over the head with 2x4s. So always love interacting with those two guys. And we got to support our guy, right? And one of the things that really got me upset yesterday, and that will be the last call. Actually, what we'll do, no, that's going to have to be the last call. I'm sorry. That's going to have to be, because we got Jeremy coming up next. He's got Ogles on. I don't want to cut in. One of the things that really got me upset yesterday was hearing Dan say how much his wife is struggling with this whole thing, right? How much Paula is struggling. And Aaron Rupar, this left-wing just maniac, kind of made fun of him for it. And I'm like, you know what? Screw you. And screw anybody who's making Paula's life a living hell, because you won't give Dan Bongino more than 2 months, right? She's taken on a lot. Obviously has always been right by his side. And if you're going to start mocking the guy because his wife is struggling with everything that is being said about her husband when her husband can't defend himself, you are a grade A scumbag, and I have no respect for you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching and listening. Another great week here on LFA TV. Jeremy Harrell coming up next. He will have Congressman Andy Ogles, my former congressman, on with him during his time on LFA TV, on with Live from America for the next 2 hours. You're not going to want to miss that. Andy is one of the good guys. We love Andy Ogles. Hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you're following this channel. Make sure you're telling all your friends about it, and have a great weekend. It is the final weekend of May. When we come back on Monday, it will be June 2nd, and it will not. Oh, you know what we're going to have to do? Like we did last year, the whole first episode of Pride Month is going to be in black and white. Because we are not giving the colors of the rainbow to the bad people. It's also hurricane season, one of my favorite times of year. I get to geek out on the weather. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Ogles coming up next with Jeremy Harrell. As President Trump would say, we will never give up. We will never give in. We will never, ever surrender. And if all else fails, we'll just become ungovernable. Thank you. God bless you. God bless this one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here Monday morning. In the words of John Fetterman, good night, everybody. Bang gavel. Catch Andy Ogles with Jeremy Harrell next.